Okay, today we're going to be assembling a Model 600 25 bushel manure spreader made by Country Manufacturing. These are the parts as you would take them out of the box to install the wheel hub assembly. To do this, simply set the wheel into place, align the studs with the holes in the wheel, insert your nut, make sure that the angled surface goes toward the wheel hub itself. Now that the wheels have been secured to the manure spreader, you would want to bring the bed of the manure spreader down to a horizontal position on the wheels. At this point in the assembly, you would want to install the front slant panels. Vic is going to install these using 2 bolts with washers and nuts on the back side. Now that the bolts have been installed into the front panels, all you do is align them with the slotted holes on the slant panel pieces and slip them into place. Next step in the assembly will be to install the beater support brackets. We already have installed the right side. Now we're going to install the left side. We're going to be using a 5/16 bolt, a lock washer, and a lock nut. The lock washer and nut will be used on the inside of the frame of the spreader. Once you secure those down, you're ready to proceed to the next step. Once you have the beater supports in place, do not tighten the nuts and bolts at this step. With the supports in place, you will now install the stabilizer bar on the top of the support brackets. Now we can install the beater support bearings onto the brackets. Install the bolts from the inside of the bracket and secure that with a washer, a lock washer, and a nut. The size on these bolts and nuts are 2 1/4 by 5/16. We do not suggest that you tighten these down at this time. Now you're ready to install the beater onto the support brackets and bearings. To do this, you simply slip the left side of the beater into the support bearing, slide the right side on, and again place the bolts from the front of the bracket through, and again using the 5/16 flat washers, lock washers, and nut. You place everything into position. Do not tighten at this time. Our next step is to install the key onto the beater itself. Install the key into the pre-cut area on the beater. Then you're going to slide the pulley into place. It's very important that the pulleys align each other with the upper beater pulley with the lower transmission pulley. This will keep the belt from attempting to flip off on you when you're out in the field spreading manure. Our next step in the assembly is to put the V-belt into place. You just go around both pulleys and make sure the guide rod rests on top of the V-belt. Now it's time to install the clutch rod itself. To do the handle, as Junior just showed you, you just attach that spring to the piece right below the guide rod. Now to adjust the guide rod on the clutch, move it up to approximately 1 o'clock position. While that's going on, you make sure that someone on the other side of the spreader is pressing down on that belt with the guide rod. That puts the tension on the clutch itself. Now you can adjust the clutch itself. To do that, there's a small piece on the rod. You can adjust that to where it disengages and engages the clutch. To disengage it, pull the lever to the left. That takes the tension off the belt. To put the tension on the belt, simply move the rod up and the lever to the right. Okay, now it's time to secure the upper stabilizer bar. You just tap that a couple of times with a center punch on each side. That will hold the stabilizer bar in place. Okay, now that all the pieces have been assembled and fitted, you can tighten up all your fasteners. That way nothing's rattling loose when you're out spreading manure. Now it's time to start installing the sideboards on the spreader. To do so, it's easiest to start at the back of the spreader toward the beater end, slip it into the slot, and then press it forward and down. Now that your boards are in place, you'll secure each side of the manure spreader using a side stick. In the front, one is for the left adjuster and one is for the right. As you can see, the drag chain is being adjusted over top of that frame bar right now. And your final height off of that frame piece should be approximately 1.25 inches. Now your final step in the assembly of the manure spreader is to install the tongue onto the manure spreader itself. This tongue can be used in two different positions, a low hitch, which Vic is showing right now, or it can be flipped over for a higher hitch. You do want your manure spreader setting level when operating. Now to install the tongue properly, the easiest way to do this we found is to remove the back bolt only at this point off the slant panel where it attaches to the frame. This will allow you then to set the tongue into place. Then once you have the back bolt into place with a nut on it and still loose, you can remove the front bolt and then slide the tongue assembly up. The last thing you'll want to do before your manure spreader is put into operation, you do want to grease each axle, one on each side. We do supply a jerk fitting on each side. You will want to do the same thing to both sides.